Welcome back guys to my channel of an everyday life and Aspie. If you're new to my channel, I welcome you all. I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness and sharing my life stories. As you know, basically, if you've been following me, I've been away out of action, and it was so insane this hopefully with what I'm using of this new gadget on my new phone, as I mentioned in one of my videos, that I'll be getting some new gear up sort of thing, and it's slowly getting there, but in all honesty it will take time obviously with a lot of things. So I'm going to bring back to you some of the topics that may not like to be touched, whatever it may be, of your mental health or general health in general. But as you know, this is how I roll and where I lie at, because that's where my passion is. So as for today, this is going to be the stages of growth and hopefully how to deal with it. As we know, basically, I'm no medical doctor, as a disclaimer. So if you see any warning signs and symptoms in regards to any of the videos, past or present, do seek professional help for yourself or your loved one, or seek second opinion for yourself or your loved one, because I don't forever condone self-harm. So let's begin this. As we know, basically, when it comes down to it, that we know that there will be a time of day that will likely to, how to put it, have an announcement from somebody about a close loved one or what have you has come down, just, you know, left us on this earth. And that's fine. Everyone, you know, comes and goes for whatever reasons, and also in saying this, we all eventually have to die, you know, regardless of that purpose or reasoning behind our cause of death, however, based on the choices or just natural causes or whatever it may be. So there are a few stages of grief that we have to deal with when it comes down to it, hearsay, and like I said, I want to hopefully bring this out so that we can educate each other. So the stages I'm going to look at with you guys today is shock and denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance and hope, and basically the upward turn. So hopefully you'll like this, and hopefully this will be short enough for your understanding as we go. As we know, basically this is just a part of the framework of the stages of this grieving process, regardless what it is, that will make up to the everyday functionality of us, how we can cope in our everyday lives, regardless what it is, to the ones we have lost, be it our, like I said, be it our family, friend, or whoever. And I'm just hoping with this tool and or guide today for this video will be of value and use to you, regardless what it may be. And in saying this, that, you know, we can identify quickly what we're feeling, and hopefully in saying this will not stop us from the day of living. Okay, as some of these I'm reading out won't all be, you know, not everyone will go through these stages, maybe just brief of them, and some of them will get over the grieving process quicker than others, but people are different in the way of grieving here. So, you know, sometimes, majority of the time, people in grief will often report more stages. Just remember that whatever grieving process you are doing or the grief you are doing is unique to who you are. So let's begin this. Number one of the steps is shock and denial. As we know, denial is the first of the 5 stages of grief, or we should know. You know, it helps us to survive from the loss of our loved one, regardless of the news we have got bombarded by a friend or whoever that may have given us the news in that time. In this stage, however, we know that the world will become meaningless and overwhelming for us all. It may not make sense anymore to it all, about life in general, you know, why are you living and that other person just left and gone, regardless what it will be. We are obviously in that state of shock, regardless of that denial. We go numb. We wonder how we can move on or go on without our friend that may have died, excuse me. We try to find a way every day, though, however, to simply get through each day, regardless what it may be. You know, sometimes we might just get busy and whatnot and just deny the fact that, no, they're not gone, that they're still here with us, or whatever. As well as that, denial and shock help us to cope and make survival as much as possible longer lasting. Denial will also then help us to pace out our feelings and emotions, regardless of this grieving stage. There is a grace in a denial process. It's the nature's way of letting in only as much as we can handle. Obviously, there are certain times of day when we're going through certain things. Every day is a process of testing our boundaries through the good, bad, and the ugly, and how much we go about it is up to us. Here's that. As you accept the reality of the loss of your loved one or whoever it may be, and start to ask yourself certain questions over and over again, however, you are unknowingly beginning the starting of this healing process, as they call it. You will probably react to learning of the loss with, numb disbelief. And as we know, you will become stronger, and the denial is beginning to fade out regardless. But as you proceed, however, just remember all the feelings you were denying will begin to surface time and time again if you're not dealing with it in the right form of manner. In order to avoid the pain and shock, however, shock provides emotional protection from being overwhelmed all at once. This may last for weeks, months, or what have you. But again, as I said, everyone's different in their grieving process regardless what it is. Pain and guilt is the next stage. As the shock wears off, as well as the denial stage of it, that will replace with the suffering of this unbelievable pain you're feeling, although excruciating and almost unbearable. It's important to note that you'll experience the pain fully and may not be able to hide it or not hide it at all. So avoiding it or escaping from it, because obviously some form of reflection or reminder of that friend is still in your mindset as you're grieving, hearsay. You can't also escape it from just doing drugs or alcohol. That's how you deal with grief. You may rail against fate, questioning the why me statements. You may also try to bargain basically in vain with the powers that may be far away out of your despair. I will never drink again if you just bring him or her back. And that's where the bargaining will come through into the fourth stage. But this next stage is anger. As we know, anger can be healthy and not healthy like many of these stages. It's just how we do it healthily. Anger is a necessary stage, however, in the form of grief or the healing process. Be willing to feel your anger, be able to, show that emotion if need be, even though it may seem endless on end. The more you truly feel, however, the more it will likely to begin to dissipate, and the more you will heal. There are many other emotions under the anger, and you'll get to them in time. But anger is the emotion we most likely use in the way of coping and managing our everyday grief. The truth is of the matter, anger has no limits. It can extend not only to your friends, the doctors, your family, yourself and your loved one who died, but also to your higher power if you believe in some higher power. You may ask, where is God in this? Underneath anger is pain. Your pain giving temporary structure to the nothingness of this loss, however. If this grief feels like being lost at sea, maybe, you're sailing at sea and you have nowhere to go, no connection to anything, so there's no signal if you were lost at sea, and you have certain time frame. So therefore, basically, in saying this, it is natural to feel deserted and, abandoned, but we live in a society that fears anger. Anger is strength, and it can be our rock, our anchor, basically. And as I said, it gives temporary structure to the nothingness of loss. If this grief feels like being lost at sea, as I said, now that your loved one has died. However, suddenly you have a structure, your anger towards your person that you lost. The anger becomes a bridge over that open sea, a connection from you to them. You may feel like you want to scream, shout, curse in this grieving stage. It is something you hold on to real tightly, and a connection that's made from them. This strength of anger feels better than nothing at all. We usually tend to know more about suppressing anger than actually feeling it, however, holding it in to the point of no return until we think enough is enough, and then all hell breaks loose and we just explode. The anger is just another indication of identity of your loved one or your love. Now, this is the step I'm talking about, bargaining. Before loss has started or begun or what have you, it seems like you would do anything for your loved one, basically, if your loved one would only be spared. So you, again, will talk to your higher being if you were into that bargaining of believing in the upper utmost. Like, you may say, please God, do not take this one away. I promise to do something. I will never be angry at my wife again. I will never mistreat her again. just as long as if you let her live. I will never forgive myself. After loss, bargaining may take the form of a temporary truce for a while. What if I devote myself to helping others around me? What if I just basically then keep myself busy, hearsay, regardless? Then can I wake up and realize that this was all a bad dream? We become lost in the maze of the if-onlys, the what-ifs, and everything else that clouds in our mindset and perception in this time frame. Basically, we want life to return to normal or just the way it was before that person passed. We want our loved ones to be restored, healed, and just live with us one more time. We want to go back in time, however, and not move on forward. Maybe if someone passed on from a form of cancer, maybe finding the tumour sooner, recognise the illness more quickly, stop that accident from happening if they had a car accident. If only starts to succumb you and eat you up. Guilt is often bargaining's companion, however. We'll do anything in our power not to feel the pain of this loss. We remain in the past trying to negotiate our way through our hurt or out of our hurt. People often think of these stages as lasting weeks or months on end. But forget the stages are responses to the feelings that we feel. That can only last for minutes or hours as we flip in and out of one and the other. We don't enter and leave each individual stage in a linear fashion, however. We may feel one, then another one, and back again to the first one, or whatever it was from that stage as I'm reading to you. Depression. After bargaining, our attention moves quickly or squarely into the present. The empty feelings that we feel present themselves, and grief encounters our lives on a deeper level and scale, deeper than we can ever possibly imagine. This depressive stage feels as though it will last forever. It's important to understand, however, that this depression is not a sign of mental illness or weakness. It's the appropriate response to a great loss that we lost in the process. We withdraw from life, left in a fog of intense sadness, wondering perhaps if there was a point of doing it alone or going alone, why go on at all? Depression after loss is too often seen in the unnatural, a state of being fixed or have to be fixed, quick, smart, something quickly to snap out of just with the snap of the fingers. But in all honesty, again, it's just a feeling, an emotion that we have to go through in these stages of grief. The first question, though, you might have to question you to ask yourself is whether or not the situation you're in is actually depressing for you. The loss of a loved one is a very depressing situation, and depression is normal, a normal, accurate, and appropriate response. To not experience depression after a loved one has died, however, would seem to be unusual. When a loss fully settles in your soul, however, basically, the realization that your loved one didn't get better this time and isn't coming back is understandably depressing. If grief is a process of healing, then depression is one of the necessary steps along the way. As I said, just when your friends may think you should get on with your life, tell you to get on over it and whatever else they may say through your grieving process, don't forever listen to them. Don't be ever talked out of it. Deal with it in your own way. A long period of sad reflection will likely to overtake you. This is just the normal stages of grief. Encouragement from others isn't helpful to you during this stage of grieving, of the depression side of it. Acceptance and hope. Acceptance is often confused with the notion of being alright or okay with what has just happened. This is not always the case, however. Most people don't even feel okay or alright about the loss of a loved one that they lost. This stage is about accepting the reality that our loved one is gone physically and recognizing that this new reality is the permanent reality check for us and that we have to find ways to move on. We will never like this reality of truth of it all, but we'll make it okay, but eventually we will accept it. But again, it will take time. I'm resisting to this new norm. At first, many people want to maintain life as it was before a loved one died. In times like these, through bits and pieces of acceptance, however, we see that we cannot maintain the past intact. It has been forever changed, and we must find the time to readjust and just live accordingly. We must learn to recognise roles, reassign them to others or take them on ourselves. Finding acceptance may just be having more good days than the bad ones. As we begin to live again and enjoy our life, new interdependencies will develop. We also basically often feel that in doing so we are betraying our loved one, however, if we do decide to move on forward. We can never replace what has been lost, however, that's a given. But we can make new connections, new meaningful relationships along the way, new interdependencies. Instead of denying our feelings, we'll have to listen to our needs. We move, we change, we evolve, obviously. We grow, we invest in our friendships and in our relationships with ourselves or with someone else. We begin to live again, but we can't do that so until we have given grief in its time, a time for us to heal. During this, the last of the 7 stages in this grief model, you will learn to accept and deal with the reality of your situation that you've come to face, untroubled you that existed before this tragedy has occurred. But you will find a way forward. You will start to look forward and actually plan things for the future. Eventually you will be able to think about your lost loved without pain, sadness, guilt, yes, but the enriching pain will eventually go. You will once again anticipate some good times to come, and yes, even find some joy in the experience of living and breathing again. During this time, you'll finally realize the true magnitude of your loss, and it depresses you. You may isolate yourself on purpose, reflect on things you did with your last one, and focus on memories of the past. You may sense feelings of emptiness and despair. The upward turn. As you start to adjust to life without your dear loved one, life becomes a little calmer, more organized, easier for you. Your physical symptoms may lessen and your depression begins to lift slightly. Reconstruction and working through. As you become more functional, your mind starts working again, and you will find yourself seeking realistic goals and solutions to problems that posed by life without your loved one. You will start to look into practical and financial problems and reconstructing yourself and your love or life without him or her. So this quickly ends basically those stages of grief and how to deal with it. Smash the like, comment below, feel free to share these videos around, feel free to basically follow me on my social media sites. Feel free to also, if you haven't done so and you want to join me on my journey, to subscribe, and if you do decide to, don't forget to turn on the notification bell, because if you want something like this more of as well, but of the general health versus mental health and everything, you're hopefully likely to get it on a daily or what have you, or even just 3 days a week instead of Monday to Friday like I usually do. It might be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but sometimes at the moment my schedule is a bit muddled, but you know, in all fairness, just keep the notification bell turned on and you have it popped up into your notification box that, you know, Aspie or whatever it comes up with as a reminder. So thanks for the support, thanks for watching, do what you love what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out, and I'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.